wants to see you. And so that's that. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're ready to start. That was our first video was just going over our last or next exercise. And in this one, what we're going to do is, as mentioned, you guys have done it with me. We're going to go in and download this one if you could, everyone. So let's go ahead and start there. Amazing. I am sharing screen, and you guys maybe got another pop-up saying, are you okay to be recorded? And so thank you for joining. And so here we go. Let's have some fun. So we're going to go into downloads, right? And let's grab Stitches here. How much fun is this guy? And then what we can do is we will just drag him into our, I'm sorry, desktop is a complete disaster. We need to be creative and yet still stay organized, bro. And sorry, it's all good. It's what it is. So we're going to go in and we're going to go into week 4, which I have as a working. Yeah. And we're going to go here and we're going to call this out as Animal Crossing, right? Yeah, cool. Not an assignment, it's just a weekly. So I'm going to put it in my weeklies, right? And then for this, what we did was supporting, right? And then we also have our working, right? And then we also have to client, which is what we're kind of getting into. Which again, apparently our client is Animal Crossing. I don't know who the president is. It's all good. So I'm gonna go here, right? I'm gonna grab my my JPEG, and there's little Stitches, yeah? So we'll have fun. As mentioned, I say fun. Hopefully you'll have fun. You can put your earbuds in and maybe follow along, but I guess you may need to hear me. So if you wanna have music playing in the background, it's all good. No worries, lose yourself. Eminem, yeah. Oh yeah, look at Eminem, or Eminem. Look at, there we go. Cupcake and Dino. I was thinking of doing this one too, because they're so much freaking fun. But we won't do Cupcake and Dino. What we're gonna do though, is we're going to do Stitches. So let's do this. And actually this was asked last week. Kim mentioned this about embedding, and sometimes your image embeds and sometimes it doesn't embed. Try this with me, and maybe we'll take a poll. Just shout out in your chat, in the chat, if this embedded your image for you. This is great for me just to know if it works really well. Again, sometimes I find it's intermittent. It does for others, but not some. And anyway, I've never found something that works. So if you guys want to try this with me, select on the PNG like so, okay? And what I'd like you to do is let's just click and drag into the icon like so. Try that with me. And I want to just get a poll here and see how many of you find that it does embed for you. Doop. So drag, yeah, drag down and drop. Okay, now go into links, please, everyone. And now, so window, links, let me know how many of you got this little icon here to the top right by dragging and dropping it into the icon like that. I'll just have a look here because it's interesting.
Mine embedded, but it did it in portrait mode instead of landscape mode.
Oh, that's all good. That's all good. This is awesome. So, okay, most of us embedded Star Wars. Yeah, so Star Wars, Kayla, there was a Star Wars edition. That's wicked.
That was my favorite game when I was a kid.
Oh, Gaia, cool. It was Angry Birds Star Wars?
Yeah, so like, you know how you like throw your bird at like the pigs or whatever, right?
Yeah.
The pigs were like all different like stormtroopers or like Darth Vader or whatever, but like, you would like launch, but you could also tap on it and it would give you like a lightsaber. So you had, like,
that's awesome.
It was amazing. You could like I think like Princess Leia had her blaster that she could like blast things over. It was great.
Amazing. So
you could play as the pigs.
Yeah, we're not gonna do Star Wars Angry Bird though, right? So, but yes, good call out. I mean, the franchise is so amazing. If there's one franchise I absolutely adore, it's Lego. Are you kidding me? Talk about a universal franchise that just gets involved in pretty much every flippin' franchise known to man. And then of course, yeah, right. So we've got everyone saying embedded. That's amazing. Oh my goodness. this may be how I go about getting everyone to open up their images from now on, because this will just alleviate me from having to get you. You know what, though? I guess in my perspective, it's great that we, of course, know where to find it, that it is embedded, and I'm probably always going to make sure that we look at it. But if that does it for us on the majority of the time, how wicked is that? Okay, so being said, let's move on. We have our link, and it's good. I don't need to see my links anymore. It's embedded. I'm good to go. We've got our layers here, right? And we know we're going to create a template layer first thing. So we've now done this multiple times way back in our first graphic class together in CAB, right? When, remember, we did our SAD robot together. And we're just going to call this out as template. So if everyone can just double click on the layer, we're going to go to template file. We're going to dim it. And let's dim it at 50% for now and have a look at it. That looks pretty good. Now, as we draw these things, everyone remember, you may want to dim it more. You may want to dim it less. Just depends on how intense the drawing is. In this case, I dimmed it to 20. And actually, because I gave you guys the actual vector file, well, vector, but I made it into an image. So the quality is fantastic, yeah? So you may even want to use it at 20% in this case. When we get into crappier JPEGs, as you know, maybe the Angry Bird that I gave you, the 20 is a little harder to do it in percent-wise, meaning dimming, because it just, with all the pixels and everything, it's a little difficult to make out. But this is kind of nice. Let's start there. So we have a template. It is a template. It's a square and lockdown. And then we're going to create a layer. First thing I want to do with this, everyone, is outline, right? So remember, we're going to build our layers from outside in. So this is neat. I'm going to show you guys a cool way of drawing, I think. And I'm hoping everyone just follow along with me and we'll be golden. Now, for this, the first thing I'm going to do is exactly that, the outline, okay? Now, pen tool on, or P, if you want to hit the P key. You can hit the tab button because I want everyone to be full screen. We're going to practice trying to use our short keys without needing anything else, okay? So we're in it to win it. And now what we're going to do is, for this, I am going to start drawing, you'll notice here, okay, just around. Now you'll notice I have a white fill and no stroke. Yeah, and if I just hit tab for a second, you'll find that comes up here, right? So it just happens to be the last thing that I touched was the white fill and no stroke. Yours may be different, yeah? Hit the D key, let's start there. That'll default it back to black stroke white fill, yeah? And then we can do this, and let's just hit the question mark. Now, if you hit the question mark and it got rid of your black stroke, just remember to do Command Z, undo, yeah? Then hit a Shift X, right? Or sorry, X button, not Shift X, just to bring forward the one that we want to get rid of, which is the fill, yeah? Again, I just want you to keep practicing these short keys because they're so handy. Shift, right? X swaps fill and stroke, which is awesome. Of course, we have our question mark, right? X will bring the stroke forward, then question mark, get rid of it all. Yeah, sound good? Now for this though, I'm going to do a Command Y because I want to see right on the money. I want to be as accurate as I can possibly be. And in this case, beautiful at 20 because I can get really, really close. You ready, everyone? So let's rock. So I'm going to stay, sorry, I didn't want to show this to you. I'm going to stay to the inside line. And the reason I'm going to do that is we have the ability, right, when we're doing our stroke, to be inside or outside, okay, when we go into it, once we complete it all. And what we're going to do is we're going to have an outside perimeter stroke on this, okay, when we get finished. Not right now. We're just going to do Command Y, but I'm just showing you the reason I'm not going to split the difference like this, and there is a reason for it, okay? So I'm going to see if we can't go right to the inside of this. You know what? Shit, it doesn't really matter, but anyway, it's all good. Do that with me. And then we don't have to try to split the difference is what I mean. We'll be right on where the border meets the stroke, okay? And you guys are like, yeah, okay, bro, just keep going. So pen tool, right? Option, click and drag. Let go of option. We've got big swoops in here. And the more that you can get done with one node, the better it is, right? It makes sure that our lines are 100% smooth. With something like that, if you guys hit the Option key and hover over top of a line segment, we know that we can do that, right? Option, click, I'm gonna slightly tweak it, and I'm just gonna bump it ever so slightly over there. Personally, I like to get my, my tweaking done as we go through the process. You guys know, it's up to you, I guess, how you wanna go about it. Meaning if you wanna go in and just roughly get it drawn in, then go back and make these slight adjustments, you can do that. I just don't because I'm already here. Why do I wanna go back? And we're gonna go back regardless, but you guys get the idea. So for this, what I'm gonna do is check this out. What I want you to do here is I want you to go to the inside of this purple. Remember, this is the overall outline of the entire object, okay? So I'm gonna Option, and notice how now I'm on the purple here, okay? And then I'm gonna go around and see if we can't do this. I'm gonna try to stop it right about here on the ear, okay? So something like that. Try this with me if you want to hit the Command key. I think even Option works. Yeah, Command or Option actually, either one of those, interesting. Now, if we do that, right, it'll allow us to create that bend, right? Now I'm finding this is really awful. It's not working for me in any way. So this is where the Option key is much better. And I'm just gonna have much more control doing that. So sometimes it's okay to go by the line segment and do it, right? Like so, but other times you'll find it doesn't work very well just because of the pulleys that are there, right? Because we're not actually adjusting the pulleys, we're adjusting the overall curve. So we're gonna Option, click, let go of Option, click, drag, right? From here, I'm gonna see if I can't kind of end it right about there. And we probably could have split the difference now that I'm thinking about it, but it's okay. We'll do it this way. Again, maybe a little bit more accurate. So now here, see if you can't do this. You want to try it in one, give it a go. Go here, don't let go, click, pull out. Now we've got our pulley, right? Option, click and drag, and see if you can't create this beautiful curve that's right here. All in one go. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Now you'll notice, oopsie, I didn't go where I wanted to go here though, did I? Because I want to actually be right there. Because I'm gonna then start drawing this little hand. Okay, and I'm gonna go here, a little bend, Option, grab your pulley, make it, move it around slightly. Click, drag, let go of Option, click, drag out. And I'm hoping now that we've had a few classes together, we're slowly starting just getting in the habit of Option, right? We're getting the bends down. I know the pen tool, now that you've had it in, right, with me for Photoshop and also for this, right, class, and then also for vector and CAD class as well. We've had quite a bit of experience now with the, and notice here, what I'm doing is I'm just hitting up the tail. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is do an outer stroke as mentioned once I finish this project or finish the drawing of the outline. Okay, so it's a little, again, I maybe shouldn't have done it this way, but it's all good. So many ways to get to an end, right? Same as this, we kind of want to end it here. So we're gonna use our eye, do our best with that. You'll notice sometimes it's impossible, right, to get to a bend that you need. So something like this may be challenging. And I say impossible, usually we can get there by finessing both of these corners or both of these pulleys, right? But I'm finding I just can't get there in this instance. Like I just not working. There's clearly another node put here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put another node just by hovering over top of the line segment. And if you guys wanna try this now, go for it. Even it doesn't matter where, you can always undo, right? Just practice this with me. Just hover over top of any of your lines, lay down a node, okay? Now we can hit Command, and that's our white arrow. And now we can move that around. So if you need to make really slight tweaks like this, nice and easy, yeah? We just add a node, Command, white arrow, and then we can adjust the node or pull it where we need to make it, yeah? So we're 100% accurate. And we'll go here. Again, we're trying to get the overall shape done. And to be totally fair, once we get this done, the outer stroke, this is going to take care of much of our drawing overall. because we're going to allow for the stroke to actually make up many of our objects, which is kind of a cool thing. And we'll get there in a bit. So if you're wondering why I'm doing it in such a way, we're going to get there together. All right, so we'll go here. Hope you guys all had a great time in type class today. And we'll go here. Now this is kind of an interesting spot, isn't it? Because it's got such a huge, so for this, you know what we'll do? Let's just do this together. I'm just gonna kind of make a little bit, and maybe you've already done it or not sure how you've gone about it, but I'm just gonna do a little jet like that for this one, okay? Just kind of bend it back, not a big deal. And we'll look at that in a sec. And we'll come here, do a nice little swoop. We'll close off the path, right? And actually I started the path at the wrong spot, didn't I? Should have been there. Now, if you did it to the middle line, everyone, it's no big deal. I can show you 2 different ways that we can do that. If you wanted to split the difference, you could have done it. It's not a big deal. Again, it's like 6 or 12, right? 6 or half a dozen. It'll get you there. So, and overall, if we just hit, and I'll give everyone some time, Command Y and just take a step back, spacebar command, right? Zoom out or zoom in, whatever you'd like. Okay. Command Y. Yeah, nice. Everything looks good. We've kind of encompassed the little guy here. All right, cool. So what else we got? You guys want to throw a chat out? How are we doing? I want everyone to kind of follow along. So I know we've got tons of time to do this. So I'm going to save that though. Yeah. So Stitches in class, notice I'm in the supporting folder. So maybe I'll just go here and I'm going to put this in my working folder. Okay. So save as. My Illustrator crashed on me like 3 times this afternoon. So just so you're aware, I think it's because I was listening to the radio for some reason. It didn't like me, but I think we're good now. No worries. Awesome, Kim. Yeah, take your time. Oh, we haven't done the page size. Great call out, Mona. No big deal. For now, let's just... Yeah, Mona, no problem. So I'm not laughing at you, Mona. I'm laughing at Mitch's comment. Yes, Nickelback, of course, that crashes everything, right? I think the pandemic is Nickelback's fault, really. Oh, shit. So yeah, good call out, Mona. The document size, right? We can take a look at that, actually. It's a good thing. So no worries. Take your time, though, everyone. You don't need to do this now. We know that we can go into our artboard, though, here, right? And we can, the artboard tool is there. I also believe it's Shift-O. There we go. It's kind of a neat little short key, Shift-O. And you guys know you can always find short keys just by hovering over top of the tool. So if you want to keep practicing your keys and get amazingly proficient at this stuff, just find out what it is. If you know you're constantly going into Shape Builder tool, Shift M, right? And we're going to do that quite a bit today. Shift M, right? Back and forth, Shape Builder, not Shape Builder. So, but yeah, just kind of call out. So if you do Shift O, that'll bring up our canvas size. You'll notice mine defaulted to tabloid. You guys may be defaulted to something other. I'm gonna go to fit, check this out. I'm gonna go to my artboard tool or Shift O, and I'm gonna go up here and I'm gonna do fit to artwork bounds. This is interesting. So now fit to artwork bounds, what that's gonna do is just do exactly that. It's gonna take the picture that I have there and it's going to just make my canvas size the exact same size as my drawing or what I'm working on, right? Is this optimal? Well, it really just depends on the size of the object you're drawing. If you grab something that you wanna trace, again, copyright laws pending, right? And you know that it's something, I don't know, a client gave you, that you need to trace, and they gave you like a 2x2 inch crappy JPEG. Probably not good that we go and make the document size 2x2 inches, right? That's kind of super small. And then of course, like in this case though, check it out with that artboard tool and doing this, notice that the actual image shows you up right here to the top. So right now my document is set at 9.4 by 8.7. So that's kind of a neat thing to call out. I believe in properties, it also shows you here, right? So properties is great, control is great. There's so many different ways of getting to these different tools. But anyway, that being said, try this. That was to fit to selected. You also can do this if you do have, say, squares, or if I was working with, say, Stitch here, and I wanted to do artboard, fit to selected art. So notice what happened there is it actually created the artboard based on the size of my, see that? So it actually went to the actual size of the selected. Kind of neat. So just keep that in mind. You have those abilities with the artboard tool, right? If I wanted to create an artboard to the size of a selected art, no worries. There we go, right? And there's my artboard, right? Would we use that? I don't know. Sometimes maybe, I guess. Most of the time though, we want to know that we are working with something that's usable. Letter is always a nice thing to do because we know that that's a piece of paper, right? So we need to do any printing from here on out. Word to the wise, in the instructions I gave you, and we'll do this next week on Monday, I typically like to draw my logos. I think we did this with the Sad Robot. I don't know why. I like 5 by 5. So I go in and I'll make, say, 5 by 5. There we go. And then I typically will like draw my logo based on that size, right? So if I just hide everything here for a sec, there we go. I find like a 5 by 5 artboard is just a nice square to work from for logo and general sizing. It's up to you. I think I'd call that out in the instructions for the custom Angry Bird, but it's not, I'm not going to grade that portion of your exercise. It's really just a process thing. Go through the process, right? 5 by 5. I'm going to leave everything exactly as it is. The reason being is I want you guys to have the exact same dimensions that I have, meaning stroke sizes, etc. So if we all just brought it in and hopefully didn't scale it to anything, then we're all working with apples and apples, right? So we all have the exact same dimensions overall. So let's select on the stroke for a second. And if you hit Shift X, right? Cool. That'll just swap now I have this beautiful fill, right? Now though, I don't want it to be a fill. I'm actually going to do a Shift X because I want it to be a stroke right now. Okay. Now this is important. Are we all good to move on now that I kind of went over the artboard tool again? Anybody need another 5? It's all good if you do. No judgment here. It's a no judgment zone. Good. Beautiful. So
I'm just finishing up our little bear.
okay, cool. So go ahead there, Beth, rock and roll. This, as mentioned, is a fairly important step. Okay, so if you want to take a break and just watch what I do here, really important. And the reason being is check this out. If you guys open up Windows Stroke, okay, let's open that up together. Let's have a look. So we know we have our strokes, and probably down here in your workspace, hit the F key for me, please. Remember, that'll just swap through screen modes, right? Floating, full, and then really full, right? So I'm just F, right? We'll swap through those things. As mentioned, tab, try the tab button again. Cool. Tools, no tools, yeah? Awesome. Sorry, we're at stroke. What I wanted to show you is let's just select on the stroke for a second. Right here is where I want to look. We have stroke, and if I zoom in here for a sec, we have stroke to the inside, stroke to the middle, stroke to the inside, stroke to the outside. Ooh, check out stroke to the outside. Now, if I do stroke to the outside, what you're going to notice is I can then match the stroke width with this stroke, yeah? Meaning I'm going to take care of the majority of the outside all with one stroke. So it's going to be 100%. And yeah, anyway, and you guys are like, okay, just move on. So do this with me. With your stroke, let's go and click the up key a few times. You'll notice that the stroke will then enlarge from the inside out, right? Cool. we typically have been drawing with the middle, right? Using the overlapping middle one. And notice it won't work in this case because of how I drew it, knowing that I wanted to do the outer, okay? So I'm at 3 points, and if we command Y, this is beautiful. And this is where we do the command Y all the time to kind of zoom in now and go, oh, shoot. I think, man, it's so close. You know what? Maybe I'm not going to be ridiculous, but 3.2, maybe better. Just saying. You guys are like 3.2 points, really? Yeah, why not? So that looks a lot closer. Command Y. Oh, yeah. When you do Command Y, you want things to almost not move when you do it, meaning, right? It's perfect. And you guys are like, sweet. All right, cool. Now, we did the stroke. If we do a command or a shift, let's do this quickly. We should have done this actually first. Sorry, we're going to come back to that for a second. The reason being is I want everyone to do a shift X with me, and I want you to go into just black fill, no stroke. The reason I want you to do this is I want you to then hide the template. I want you to look at your overall drawing right now. So take maybe spacebar command, zoom out a little bit, have a look at it. If you can notice where points are joining right now in this zoom view, even command 0 if you want to try it, if you can point or find areas on your line that are really obvious that they're wrong, let's fix them. I always do this, zoom in. Sorry, I should have done this previous. I can see that there's a point right here. I know I'm being ridiculous, but I can tell that there's a point right here, okay? Because, and maybe it's gonna call me a liar, but I'm pretty darn sure. Hey, check it out. There's a point right there. And I knew that because, again, maybe not all of us would notice it because, again, we may be new to vector, and I'm hoping as we do this, it's going to become more and more obvious that we need to massage these areas. That is the tiniest of massages. Would I expect you to do that? Probably not, but it's a good practice to get into. So just have a look. Now let's spacebar command. I want you to all zoom in really close. Maybe not that close. That's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to spacebar command, zoom in, zoom out. And now I want you to just navigate around your drawing. So spacebar, right? And I'm just gonna go and have a look. And if you find that you have a piece in your drawing that looks, right? Actually go to the P tool. That would be good, hit P. Let's get back on the pen. If you find that you have an area that looks, right, like, and maybe you're already on the P tool, like this, that is concerning, right? We need to address that. And so we need to fix those areas. And that's where the option key is amazing because then we just hit the option key, we make some slight massaging, right? And we'll bring things in line where they need to be. If you've done this and you cannot see where these points are lying, you've done an absolutely fantastic job in most, as long as you are accurate too when you do it, right? But I've done okay here. That looks all right. Maybe slightest tweak here. You guys, again, depending, you may have more or less. But again, this is kind of a nice exercise to go through. Make sure these are where we'll really look because if anything, the circular areas are the most challenging. Right here is a cause for concern for me. And I know that I'm just making ever so slight tweaks to this. But it matters, right? It always matters. And that looks a little better. Yeah, I'm moving on. I don't want you to agonize about it either, but we want to do our best, right? Points like this, kind of want to do that. If you guys have the option, do a rounded corner utilizing that little plus sign. If you want to try that, please do. Was mine turned off? It doesn't seem to want to work. Hide corner widget. Oh, it's showing. Okay. It's all good. But you guys may have that corner right here, right? The corners. So I'm using command white arrow. Don't forget that. Command white arrow. Select on a node. Check this out, right? We can then go whoop if you choose to, right? Utilizing that plus sign that's there. And we did that quite a bit last class. And throughout our time together, I think we've used that quite a little bit anyway. So I'm happy with that. I know I'm coming back to this area anyway, because I've got to massage that further. So I'm not worried if this is an issue for you, don't stress. This is something we'll come back to and fix. But for now, that looks pretty good. So hopefully that gave everyone some time to just go around. Again, I'm not asking for you to turn this in. So if you want to just, let's keep going. You guys can just follow along from here. I'm going to now select Shift X, sorry. We know it was 3.2. So I'm going to go, I have my stroke open here. I hit the tab, whoops, shit. I hit the tab key, right? That brought all my tools back. I'm going to select on the outside stroke or the outside outline. Yeah. 3.2 we knew is what I have. You guys, again, if you size your art may be different, but should be really close. Notice this is beautiful. Illustrator is getting so much better at remembering things. This, promise you, this is not an, these updates are awesome. Some of them are awesome, not always, some of them. Anyway, this is cool because typically what happens is it usually defaults back to the middle. Now it's remembered that the last thing that I had on was an outer stroke. This is beauty. Anyway, just throwing it out there. And now we can have a look again if you want to go around. There are areas maybe that were like, whoa, yeah, this is, you know, I've got some work here to do. Even though I smoothed out all my lines, I'm finding that I was kind of off on some of these areas, right? I'm not too concerned right now for this, but you'll find even in here, right? And we can come back and massage that once we do the next step together, which, are we ready to rock? Everyone's happy? We've got a stroke, right? We're at 3.2. I unlocked my template by accident, so just make sure you are locked, that we are in template mode. What I'd like to do though is let's hide the template for a second, okay? This is a really important process, an important step of this whole, how we're gonna draw this overall. So I'm gonna select on this stroke, okay? We have object, and I'll leave this up for a second. So select on the stroke, okay? We're gonna go into object, and I want you to go to path. And we looked at outline stroke, right? We've done that a few times now. We did it for the, what did we do? For last week when we, or Monday, right? When we did the furrow in the brow, right? And so what we're gonna do is outline stroke. Now, by outlining the stroke, if you hit Command Y for me, notice, this is awesome. What we've essentially done now is we created an outer and an inner, right? If we bring our template back, what you'll find is we've already now begun drawing some of these shapes, right? And so what we can do is utilize this as our base and start building shapes within, knowing that we have a beautiful stroke that's expanded and everything's good to go. The one thing I wanted to note with everyone here is when we do that, check it out. If you want to just, what is it? The, what's the, I always forget. Go into the black arrow for a sec if you want. Thing is it not W, I always want to say W. It's the V key, okay. So black arrow here. Now, if you click on it and move it, you're gonna find that it is a group, or in actual fact, it's a compound path. So it's actually created an object filled, right? If you guys ever want to see appearance is where I will be utilizing this next semester. Just so you know, I don't have you next semester for branding. They took it away. I'll have you for semester, but I don't get you next semester. I know, tear slowly dripping down your face. Anyways, we're gonna be using appearance quite a bit when I get you again for branding, okay? So yes, they've moved things around and I thought I was having you and it's all good. Yeah, so it's all good. You don't need to comment. It's all good. I'm not looking for, I'm gonna miss you guys, but we'll talk about that in our last class together for a while. Anyway, don't put that out of your mind if you think I'm cool. And if you don't think I'm cool, then you might be like, yeah, thank God. We don't have to worry about you in September. So that being said, moving on. We have this, as mentioned, appearance. That was a long segue. Appearance, it's telling me that I have a compound path, okay? So the appearance palette's amazing because it allows us to do stroke. I can't even remember if we did this in the sad robot or not. I don't know that we touched on it. Maybe we did, I can't remember. But the appearance palette's amazing because there's so many things you can do with it aside from knowing what exactly you're dealing with. This is telling me that I'm dealing with a compound path, so I know that. Now, if I were to select on these two, I want to release compound path. So if you guys go here and do compound path, so what is going to happen, just so you guys are aware, it's going to take it as like a donut, right? And it's going to then release it so that we will now, in fact, have two completely different objects separate from each other. Because as we know right now, we have one perfect shape that's, right? We made the stroke into a shape. So if I go here and I go compound path, release, I think you can right click on it as well and release. There it is there. So if you want to try that, release, if you go click, right click, release compound path is a short key to get there. Or you can, of course, go object, compound path, release. What you're going to find is now, check out appearance, and now telling me that I have stroke with a fill of black. I'm still selected on both of those objects. They just took on a fill of black, right? So if I command Y for a sec, we now, check it out, we now have an object here to the inside and an object here to the outside. Cool? So that's kind of nice, right? And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna now utilize this inner to create our other shapes. Yeah, sound good? So what I'd like everyone to do to start with, I'm gonna just hide my appearance for a second. Sorry, and let me go back there. There we go. So make sure, do this with the black arrow, click and move the top one. Just make sure that it's on its own. The issue you may find is you may accidentally duplicate or make multiple copies of the outer, right? We want just two simple objects, 1 and 2. So if you're moving them and you're noticing that, oh shit, if you have something that looks like this, you may have accidentally created a secondary copy of it. And we just want to get rid of any of the secondaries. Just kind of shout it out. Okay, so move 1 looks good. Move 2 looks good. Beautiful. I'm happy with that. What I also want to do is we have an outer and we have an inner. Again, we're going to use this as our builder for a majority of our shapes. So let's create a new layer. And I'm just going to call this out as, let's call this out as, for now, inside shapes. That may be a little generic, but for now, that's where we're going to go with it. Okay, and what I'd like you to do is I'm going to grab this little dot, and remember, this is how we swap from layer to layer. You may want to, so select on the inner, like so, okay? We're going to go here, click and drag up. So now what you're going to find, if we command Y for a sec, remember I'd like to do this, if you want to try this with me, I'm going to select on both, gradient. Hey, cool. Actually, that did nothing for me right now. There we go. Okay, so I filled one, I put a gradient in the other. I know it works sometimes. The gradient didn't work very well in this case because they're so close to each other. It really made no difference. But I wanted to do this. So now we can see that we have, right, 2 objects. You can, of course, fill one in gray if you want. That might be a better thing to do, right? So I'll go here, fill it with a light gray. You can use your swatches, of course. Mine happened to not show up for me today. I just did, again, an update on Illustrator. And you're like, yeah, sure, blame it on updates all the time. So anyway, so there we go. We've got gray. Yeah, nice. So we now have 2 separate pieces, black and gray. And you guys are probably saying, just move on. Okay, we're getting there. What I'd like you to do is let's hide the outline layer. So just click on this eyeball. Let's get rid of it. Now we can just deal with this. All right, beautiful. You will notice, let's see if we can't do this in such a way, this is going to be really fun. You'll notice that there's some interesting, the stroke isn't 100% the same as what I'm getting at for some of these objects, right? So you'll notice that in here, I was thinking of maybe we could utilizing a stroke within, yeah? So a way to draw this, okay, take a step. If I were to know, if the artist who drew this used the exact same stroke width as what we used here, the 3.2, let's say, yeah? You could, in theory, in this case, it doesn't work, but you could, in theory, do this. Notice how I'm gonna split the difference, see that? Okay, so if you wanna try this with me, you can, okay? So I'm gonna split the difference there, okay? Let's make the stroke black and then maybe make it gray instead. So I'm gonna go here, make it a gray stroke like so, okay? And let me just hide everything here for a sec. No, go bring it back, okay? So if I take something like this, and I know that this stroke is at 3.5 or 3.2 is what we had, right? Check it out. Now, what I've done is I've created this stroke, yeah? And check out how cool this is. The reason I'm showing you this is you can, in theory, check out what I'm doing here. You can, in theory, go around and draw an object like so, utilizing just that stroke as a thickener, or a thickener. It's not flour. What I mean is you can use it as a spacer, right? So I can, in theory, go around and then I can expand the stroke. And then by expanding the stroke, I, in fact, created a spacer as mentioned, right? You can always go back in and you guys are like, oh my gosh, seriously? But anyway, just to kind of show you really quickly, if I go here and okay, I'm just saying I'm done here for a second. Okay, there we go. So I've got all of this on the inside, right? I just kind of did a mess here, but you guys get the idea. So if I go in now in path, outline stroke, nice. What we've officially done is we've used the stroke now as an outer line, right? I can then start using Shape Builder and start adding and combining elements, right? So of course I could then go in and start drawing another path right here, right? And then draw, finish it off, path, outline stroke. Ah, shit, of course I didn't have a stroke on it. There we go, 3.2, right? And if you guys are like, yeah, this is not working for me, bothering me, then you don't need to utilize it, but I'm showing you just another way that you can draw. So check it out. I just then created this. So pretend like I drew all the way around, expand all of your strokes to outlines. You can then go in and use your Shape Builder or Shift M, and now I can start unifying pieces, right? So Command A, Shift M, check it out. Nice. So now what I've done is I've actually drawn in, right? This is a mess, but you guys are getting the idea. Okay, you guys are like, oh my God, moving on. Okay. You're like, why'd you show us that? So let's move on. What we need to do is let's start getting these shapes in here. As you'll notice, even though we had a beautiful stroke around the perimeter, all of these use thick, thin, interesting, kind of created some interesting shape utilizing it. So we will need to use the pen tool overall for this, okay? I guess, yeah. I showed you guys the width tool though. Okay, I don't want to get into that. I was gonna say you can, in fact, utilize a stroke. You ready? Try this with me. Go on in and draw maybe this stroke right here, okay? So I got a stroke and I drew it right there. Now remember last class I showed you guys how to do the width tool. Remember that? And let me just make this stroke black for a second. There we go, yeah? So there's our width tool. I may start at 3.2 because I know that is the thickness of what I want to work with. And that's at least 3.2 here. But check this out. You can, if you do have strokes that are like this, you can, in theory, go in with the width tool and adjust. See this? Cool. You can literally utilize the width tool to make those adjustments if you wanted to do, because you could, see that? In essence, what I've done is I've matched, see that? I've actually matched that angle, utilizing the stroke and then utilizing the width tool. How cool. Anyway, this is maybe, anyway. It is an option if you wanted to utilize the stroke and another way of drawing. And so let's get back to it. You guys are like, yeah, please. Now, what did I do? I ended up getting rid of something. Amazing. Good job, Mitch. I'm going to undo here for a sec. Quite a bit. So you guys want to undo with me? Undo, get rid of all that. As mentioned, it was just to show you that that's another alternate way of drawing. This is kind of neat though. Are we ready? What I'm going to now start doing is I'm going to utilize these shapes. And the best way to do that, you're ready? P tool. I know that was a long story short type thing. And maybe my, my power is about to die. So no anxiety, guys. I'm going to go in and grab that. I want to show you this before I go get my power cord. Try this with me. I want to create breaks right here, yeah? The easiest way to do this is a great adding, subtracting exercise. Command, we know, well, hit P again. Command, white arrow, yeah? let's go in and just select on the inner. Oh, check it out. Mine just happened to have an anchor right where I need it, which is right here. Beautiful. You ready? Hit command now. I'm going to just spacebar command, zoom in with me because I want to get really close in this instance. Depending on how your path's expanded, you may not have had a node here. Okay. So what I'd like you to do is go ahead. You can even add, I'll add another one. There we go. I added a node. So you can do this a few ways. I can go in, add a node, hit delete. See that? So what I've then done is I've just deleted the area that I don't want because I'm going to, as mentioned, utilize this overall as my base. So try that again with me. Zoom in, command. I just happen to do a selection. Hover over top. I'm at the ear here, right? Add a node. You can try it this way as well. Command will bring up our white arrow. Marquee select. See this? I'm going to select just on this tiny little piece. Then hit delete. So there's two ways that you can do it. You can add a node, then hit delete key, or you can command select delete. Okay? So I'm going to go get my cord. You guys work through this if you want to try to start creating breaks. So I want you to select. I want you to add a node on these areas. I want you to then maybe add another node and hit delete. So you kind of see how we're creating this. So now hit spacebar and I want you to go all the way around the object and I'll come back in about 2 minutes. I got to run down and grab my cord, right? Add a node here, add delete, or add a node here, command, marquee select and delete. This is amazing. Mine just happened to actually create nodes right where I needed them, which doesn't always happen, but sometimes. So I can just use my white arrow, select on that line segment, delete it. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Actually, I'll use this as a break. So I'm gonna just stop recording. So stop share. I'm gonna stop recording.